In this Gem Cut Studio or GCS tutorial, I will explain all about symmetry, which seems complicated but is actually simple to understand if you work through an example or two. Also, I've created a playlist on YouTube where I will link all of the GCS tutorials that I know of and update the playlist to add any new GCS tutorials that come out. I will not only put my GCS tutorials into the playlist, but those tutorials created by others, including those great tutorials that Reg Poirier, the creator of GCS, made. If you know of other GCS tutorial videos that are not on my playlist, just let me know in the comments and I'll update the playlist. Then you can click the link on the screen and find the playlist and find all the GCS tutorials in one place for your convenience. Also, this is a good time for you to consider liking and subscribing to my tutorials. That gives me feedback that you are finding these videos useful and that I'm providing you with valuable information. Please also comment after viewing the video. Let me know what else you want to learn and if anything I covered was not clear. Also, if I missed something, and I'm sure I will, please comment so everyone can benefit. Thank you. It seems to me that one way to figure out how symmetry works in gem designs is to demonstrate symmetry. So I'll take a simple existing gem cutting design, one that I've already cut many times and you probably have also, and rebuild or recreate this design in GCS. Since we kind of know how the design works when we cut it, maybe some of the features of GCS will begin to make sense. Let's find out. To demonstrate symmetry, I'll use the standard square step cut with cut corners design. This design is almost certainly one of the first 3 to 5 stones that any new cutter cuts, and it's fairly straightforward. So here's a paper copy or PDF of how this design should look once it is cut. I recently cut this design and made a tutorial of cutting it. If you want to see this design cut, here is the video. The paper or PDF instructions for cutting this design are here, and there's a total of 53 set facets in 14 tiers or lines of instruction. So let's put my PDF copy of this design into GCS. To begin working with a new design in GCS, go to File, New. This resets the application. Think of this as GCS giving you a block or cube of gem rough to begin cutting on. Yeah, I only wish I could buy gem rough in this shape instead of the pancake shapes and crescent moon shapes I normally buy. GCS shows you a rendering of your gemstone in real time. As you can see, our block of rough is a dead stone, completely windowed. But I'll show you more about how to use the rendering in a future tutorial. So the first line of cutting instructions are to cut 4 facets on the pavilion to set the stone size. Alright, so regarding symmetry, here is the one rule. If the jump between index values on a tier are equal, it is symmetrical. That's the rule. Pretty simple, huh? So on this line or tier, the jump between the 4 teeth or index values of our 96 tooth index gear is 24. 96 is the first value. Adding 24 gives us 24 as the second value. Adding 24 gives us 48 as the third value. Adding another 24 gives us 72 as the fourth value. And adding another 24 takes us back to 96. So according to our rule, this line or tier is symmetrical and we will cut 4 facets. Notice in GCS, just because we are cutting a square design, these same instructions already exist. It's because GCS used these instructions to cut our square cube default piece of rough. But I'll go through the cutting instructions anyway. In GCS, first we want to ensure pavilion is highlighted as we are cutting the pavilion. Set the base index to 96. This is the first facet we're going to cut. You can either move the base index slider or type in 96. Then set symmetry to 4 as we are cutting 4 facets and ensure mirror is set to 0. I'll cover mirror in a future tutorial. Then set the cutting angle or mast angle to 90 degrees. Again, you can either use the slider or just type in 90. You then move the depth indicator to make the cut of the stone as small as you want it to cut. Then just press cut to cut the design. Then to add comments, you go to the right-hand portion of this line and type in any comments. In this case, type in set stone size. Go ahead and save this design. Go to File, Save, and call this file Standard Square Step Cut with Cut Corners, just like our PDF design is labeled. The second tier from our PDF design is shown here. Again, the jump between each index value is the same, so we have symmetry. Leave the base index at 96, which is the first cut. Leave symmetry at 4, which is the number of facets. Mirror at 0, and set the masked angle to 63 degrees. Move the depth slider down to set the girdle. Just eyeball it to look similar to the picture in our PDF file. Just take off a little rough, as we're going to need to leave enough rough for the upper half of the stone, or the crown. Then press cut. Click on the right-hand part of the line of instruction and type in the comment set girdle line. The third line of instructions is shown here, and this also falls into our rule for symmetry, the same distance between indexes. So leave the base index at 96, symmetry at 4, and set the masked angle at 53 degrees. Use the depth slider to eyeball a little step cut that looks close to our paper copy rendering, and press cut. Go ahead and type in the comment cut as required. The next line is shown here. And again, this is also symmetrical. So again, leave the base index at 96, symmetry at 4, and change the masked angle to 43 degrees. Use the depth slider to make a permanent center point, or PCP, and notice that the first instruction for the cullet that GCS gave us as a default when they gave us our block or cube of rough will disappear when I make this new permanent center point, as I now have cut away the original cullet. Type in the comment, cut to width required, and form PCP. The fifth line of instruction is shown here. This line has a jump of 24 between each index, same as the rest. So this tier is also symmetrical. Again, set the base index to 12, symmetry to 4, mirror to 0, and the masked angle to 53. Now we could use the depth slider as we've done previously, or we could use the jump feature. Jump takes you to where the cutting plane touches the stone, and is useful where you want to cut to meet points. The second jump takes you to where the cutting plane next meets the next point on your stone, and it shows you where it will go next if you press jump again. Press jump again, and the depth slider takes us to the meet point or intersection for the facets we cut in lines 3 and 4. Press cut, type in the comment meet 3-4. The next line of instruction is here. This line also has a jump of 24 between each index, so this tier is once again symmetrical. Set the base index to 12, symmetry to 4, and the masked angle to 63. Instead of using the slider, we can again use the jump feature. Jump takes you to where the cutting plane touches the stone. The second jump takes you to where the cutting plane meets the next point and shows you where we'll go next. Then press jump again, then click cut. Type in the comment. The next line of instruction shown here. Again, same index values as the previous tier, so also symmetrical. Base index to 12, symmetry to 4, and masked angle to 90 degrees. Press jump twice and cut. Type in the comment, level girdle. That's it. The pavilion of our stone is done, and it matches our paper copy. Now we need to work on the crown or upper half of our stone. So make sure the crown is highlighted. And I wish all my gemstone transfers were as easy to do as this. So the first line of instruction on the crown is here. We've cut these 4 index before. We know they're symmetrical. So set the base index to 96, symmetry to 4, mast angle to 55 degrees. Use the depth slider to make a girdle. Just eyeball it for now. You can always adjust the girdle width later if you want. And press cut. Write set girdle thickness in the comment. Second line of instruction is here. Again, we've cut these indexes before, so base index of 12, symmetry 4, mast angle of 55 degrees. Jump twice, put the cutting plane exactly on the meet point, and press cut. Type in level girdle as the comment. Third line of instruction is shown here. And again, we've cut these indices before, so base index of 96, symmetry of 4, mast angle of 42 degrees. Use the slider to create a step that looks about the same as the paper copy design. Press cut, type in cut as required as the comment. Fourth line of instructions shown here. Again, the same indexes we've cut before, so it's symmetrical, base index of 12, symmetry of 4, mast angle of 42 degrees. Click jump twice, and the cutting plane goes to the meet point of ABC. Press cut and type in meet ABC in the comment. The fifth line of instruction is shown here, same as before, base index of 96, symmetry of 4, mast angle of 26 degrees. Use the slider and move the cutting plane so it looks like the diagram. Press cut and type cut as required in the comments. The sixth line of instructions shown here, same indexes we've cut before, same symmetrical. Type base index of 12 and the mast angle of 26 degrees. And since we want to cut to the meet point or intersection of C, D, and E, we can use the jump feature again to go to this meet point. The seventh and final line of instruction is to cut the table. And for a table, once you set the angle at 0, the index bar and symmetry and mirror become irrelevant. It doesn't matter what you type in there because you can only possibly cut one facet with an angle of 0. Press jump twice and the cutting plane goes to the meet point of the tier we just cut. Press cut and put cut as required in the comment. Now, if you want to adjust the girdle, you go to Edit, Resize Girdle, and you can either use the slide bar to adjust the girdle, or you can type in some percentage of width. I have seen gem cutting competitions where the size of the girdle is prescribed either in point millimeters or in percentage of width. So you can do either, but it looks good to me where it is, so I'll just leave it. Now go to File, Save to save the diagram. Now you can also go to File, Print, and you can look at the new PDF version of our GCS file. And you can see that our design is the same as the original paper copy. Nice. So now we have created a file in GCS of the standard square step cut with cut corners. I have shown you about symmetry and how to recreate a gem design in GCS. Later, if I want to optimize this design for a different gem material, this design is for quartz, I already have the design loaded into GCS and can just open it and start optimizing it for a gem rough of a different refractive index. But I will save that for a future tutorial. Stop the press. I made a slight mistake that needs correcting. It is just in the comments and does not affect the cuts, but I do need to correct it. The paper or PDF version of this design for the pavilion just numbered each tier or line of instruction numerically from 1 to 7. GCS numbers those 7 lines of instruction as G1, G for girdle, P1 through P5 for pavilion, and G2. So I need to revise 2 of the comments, those for line 5 and those for line 6. Line 5 is P4 in our GCS design, and I just need to correct the comment that says meet 3-4 to read meet P2-P3. And line 6 is P5 in our GCS design. I just need to correct the comment that says meet 2-5 to read meet P1-P4. For the crown, the PDF file just labeled the 7 lines alphabetically from A to G, while GCS labels the lines of instruction for the crown as C1 through C6, C for crown, and T for table. So I need to change the comment for line C4 where it says meet ABC to say meet C1, C2, C3. And I need to change the comment for line C6 where it says meet CDE to say meet C3, C4, C5. Now I just saved the design and all is well. Sorry about that. So that's a bonus. Let's go through another really quick design to make sure we understand symmetry. This time I'll use a common standard round brilliant or SRB design. I've cut this design many times and I know how it works, and I'm sure you do also. It was the first stone I cut when I first got started in gem cutting. So here is a paper design or PDF version of this design. Remember, although GCS can read many non-GCS design formats, it cannot read a PDF file. A PDF gem design will have to be manually entered into GCS to recreate this existing design. I recently cut this paper design or PDF design using quartz, and here is a video of cutting that gemstone. The PDF of this design shows how the design should look when it's cut. And as we did with our square step cut design, we first need to reset the application to start in GCS with a fresh piece of rough to cut our SRB design. So go to File, New, and GCS gives us a new block or cube of rough to work on. The PDF instructions for cutting the SRB with faceted girdle are shown here. Remember the rule on symmetry. If the jump between index values, teeth on the index gear, on a line or tier of instruction are equal, then that tier is symmetrical. So the first row or tier of instructions calls for cutting 16 facets on the pavilion at an angle of 43 degrees. As you can see, the facets are each 6 teeth or indexes apart, so this cut is symmetrical. We will start with the pavilion, so ensure you have pavilion highlighted and not crown. Set the base index on 3, the first index you want to cut. Again, either by moving the slider or typing it in. Set symmetry to 16 because there are 16 facets on this tier. Ensure mirror is set to 0. Again, I'll cover mirror in a future tutorial. Set the mast angle to 43 degrees. Then just slide the depth slider down until you close up that culet and form a temporary center point. Notice the original culet that GCS provided in our block of rough goes away when we slide the depth slider down and cut over that. Then press cut and GCS records our instructions. Go to the right side of that line of instruction and type in comments. Type in form TCP. Let's save this file. Go to File, Save, and call it Standard Round Brilliant with faceted girdle, the same title as our PDF design that we're recreating. So for the second set of instructions, we are cutting the girdle with the same indexes as the first instruction. So set the mast angle at 90 degrees and leave the base index at 3 and symmetry at 16, as we are using the same indexes and the same number of facets. Press jump and GCS goes to the first meet point, or you can bring the slider down enough to cut away all the original cube block facets. Notice again that the original girdle that GCS provided as G1 disappears when we cut our new girdle. Press jump a total of 3 times, then press cut. Now go to the comment and type set stone size. For the third set of instruction, we need to cut the pavilion main facets. This line is cut at an angle of 41 degrees, 8 facets, and they're each 12 indexes apart, so it's symmetrical. So type in 41 degrees, 8 in symmetry, 96 in the base index, and press jump again and cut. Voila, the pavilion's done. Just type in the comment, meet P1 at girdle and form PCP, which stands for permanent center point. Now we will work on the upper half or crown of our SRB design. So ensure crown is highlighted in GCS. Here is the first line of instruction for our crown. Again, equal distance between each index means this row is symmetrical. Set the base index to 3, symmetry at 16, mast angle at 42 degrees, and move the slider down until you have a small girdle. Just eyeball it for now. As I showed you with the previous example, you can always go in and adjust the girdle later if you want. Press cut and add the comment, set girdle thickness. Instruction 2 has 8 facets and equal distance apart, so they're symmetrical. Set the base index to 96, symmetry to 8, mast angle to 34. Press the jump button twice, press cut, and add the comment, meet C1 at girdle. Row 3 has 8 facets and equal distance apart, also symmetrical. And you want to cut the facets so they meet the intersection of C1, C2. Base index to 6, symmetry to 8, mast angle to 20 degrees. Jump twice to hit the meet point at the intersection of C1, C2, and cut. Add the comment, meet C1-C2. Now for the table. It's the same as we did in the previous example. Just set the mast angle to 0 degrees. Press jump twice to meet the meet point or intersection of C3, C2, C3. Press cut and put in the comment, meet C3, C2, C3. I've now completed our SRB, so we need to save it. Go to File, Save, and save it. Now, if we go to File, Print, we can see our design. It's called Standard Round Brilliant with Faceted Girdle, and we can see that it matches our PDF file. So we have recreated our PDF design into GCS. In this tutorial, I've demonstrated how to identify a tier or line of cutting instructions as symmetrical, and I've recreated 2 PDF designs or paper designs and put them into GCS for my growing library of gem cut designs. These GCS formatted designs are now safely tucked away in my GCS design folder. Please let me know what you think of this video and what other aspects of GCS you'd like me to cover in future tutorial videos. And as always, happy fasting, everyone.